Hello, everyone. It is Christopher Columbus Day. So, we are going to talk about Christopher Columbus and his impact on the New World, but also the other explorers that follow suit and change this area that we live in today. So, we're going to talk about what did Columbus call the Taino people and why did he call them this, and what were two reasons that Cortez was successful against the Aztecs. So hopefully in class I've shown you a video about Columbus. It's just 2 minutes, and that gives you some good background about Columbus. Here's further information for you. You need to know that he was born in Italy. He grew up and was very much interested in exploration, particularly to Asia. Asia was like the prime target. And as he grew up, that's where he wanted to sail. Why Asia? Because of spices, because of silk, because of all sorts of wealth and riches that were believed to be in Asia. So these explorers really wanted to be the first into Asia to bring all this wealth out. He sought financial support from Portugal in order to sail to Asia, but the Portuguese were really not interested. He finally, after much persuasion, as you saw in the video, gets financial backing from King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain. So he is an Italian who is going to sail for Spain. He set sail from Spain in August of 1492. I know you've heard the little elementary school rhyme, Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492, or there's another version in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. He's going to sail with 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria. Now, again, he thinks that he is leaving Spain and that he is going to basically go through a lot of ocean and arrive in China or near Japan or East Indies. We call that whole territory. That includes India as well. So he thought he was going to land in Asia. What he did not know was that there were 2 ginormous continents in the way, North America and South America, that would be blocking his path. So anyway, his goal is to reach Asia, and he lands instead in the Bahamas on October 12th, 1492. Now, I do have a map. This is showing you something again later, but I'm going to use it right now to point out where he was and where he ends up. So he is leaving Spain here in August of 1492, and he thinks that he's going to sail straight through here and end up over here in this territory. Here's Japan, here's China, here's India, so the East Indies. That's what he thinks. Instead, he departs, and what happens is he ends up here. And these are some islands in the Caribbean. We now know he landed in the Bahamas. And you see here's Florida. So very, very close to what's today the United States. He lands here, thinks he is near an island near Japan, and thinks he's landed in Asia, when in fact, not so much. Okay, so he's here in the Caribbean thinking that he has landed in Asia. All right, so we consider he lands there October 12th. Today we consider that Columbus Day and this federal holiday in the United States. He encounters the Taino people. You saw them in the video. He calls them Indians because he thought he had landed in the East Indies or India, but he thought he landed somewhere in Asia. So he called them Indians for East Indies. He leaves the Bahamas, sails to Cuba, sails to Hispaniola, just several islands in that area he kind of explores. He returns to Spain with the story that he has found the East Indies. Most historians believe that he exaggerated a lot of his findings to get more financial support later, which that was a common issue. He made 3 trips to the New World, all in the name of claiming land for Spain. During this time, Spain and Portugal were bitter rivals and did not get along. And so a deal was struck between the two of them called the Treaty of Tordesillas. This treaty is going to say, okay, Spain says we're the top two exploring rivals. Whatever we find in this area is ours, and whatever you find in this area over here is yours. And Portugal agrees. Now remember, they don't have very good map making skills at this time or know exactly what's out there. So they both make the deal, and in the end, Portugal gets the raw end of the deal, knowing what we know today. Although they didn't know what was, out there then. So let's go back to the map I showed you before, but look at it in a different way. Here's the line that was set up by the Treaty of Tordesillas, and it said anything over here is going to be Spanish that's discovered, and anything on this side of the line will be Portuguese. Well, as you can see, this is all Portugal gets, which is present-day Brazil, which is why in Brazil they speak Portuguese today, because the Portuguese do in fact claim this territory. But the Spanish get everything else. And, they hit the mother lode with this treaty. This is why today, of course, here's Mexico, Central American countries, some South American countries speak Spanish, because the Spanish are going to be the first explorers into this territory. Okay? All right. So that's the Treaty of Tordesillas. All right, another interesting character, Amerigo Vespucci, is going to set sail in 1499. Now, this is after, 1492 with Columbus. So 1499, his journeys primarily involved exploring South America, which I just showed you, and the Caribbean. Interestingly, the United States of America will be named America because of Amerigo Vespucci. What's interesting about it is he never explored the United States of America. He explored South America and the Caribbean. Some map makers, historians believe that Vespucci sailed up the eastern coast somewhat, somewhere maybe from Florida up to around North Carolina, and then went back to Europe, but never went into the interior of North America or the United States of America. So South America was his territory primarily, and he named it the New World. That's where we get the New World term. Most of us think New World, we think of North America, United States, during this time. It actually was given that term to South America by Amerigo Vespucci because that's primarily where he sailed. How did the United States of America pick up on the name America from Amerigo Vespucci then, if he didn't really explore it? Well, that is credited in 1538 to a cartographer, which is a person who draws maps, Gerardus Mercator. You ever heard of the Mercator map from him? And he was making the first maps of the world, and he wrote the word America from Amerigo Vespucci on South America, which that would make sense because that's where Amerigo Vespucci explored, but also he wrote it on North America. So basically, Columbus and others I'm going to talk about in a minute who explore much more of the northern portion do not get credit for land they discovered these years later. It goes to Amerigo Vespucci. That's kind of interesting. Okay, Juan Ponce de Leon is going to explore Florida, the land of flowers, looking for the Fountain of Youth in 1513. Does not find the Fountain of Youth, of course. Some people argue that's why older people move to Florida today. I don't think that. I think they're trying to get out of cold weather up north. But anyway, Ponce de Leon will discover and explore Florida. So he'll claim that territory for Spain. That lasts us well into this course. You need to remember Florida is Spanish. Vasco de Balboa is going to, in 1510, explore the Isthmus of Panama. Isthmus means small strip of land, water on both sides. And so he's going to cross this swampy land looking for gold. In the process, he discovers a whole other ocean on the other side, the Pacific. So he's the first European to reach the Pacific coast. I'll take just a second because I have a Balboa. Well, I have Ponce de Leon too. So here's one, Ponce de Leon. Ponce de Leon. Probably what they say. In French, but anyway. Let's see. Somewhere in here they thought was supposed to be the Fountain of Youth. Here's St. Augustine, Florida. That becomes important later. So he sails really up into Florida. All right. Now, I'd also like for you to see Balboa. So here is this isthmus I was talking about. So he comes through here this way and crosses this swampy land. And then all of a sudden reaches the other side, and lo and behold, there's another ocean there. So that was very interesting, and very interesting discovery for him. All right, that's Balboa. Magellan, he's going to discover a strait later named for him, Strait of Magellan, at the southernmost tip of South America. And he and his crew sail into the Pacific. He dies halfway through, somewhere around Asia, I'll show you that. But the crew makes it all the way back to Spain. So basically, they go around the globe. And this is the first documented expedition to sail around the world. And that Magellan, okay, here it is. So he leaves Spain, comes around here, crosses this area right here, which was a little body of water that cut through the tip end of South America, called now the Strait of Magellan. And he goes through here, comes around here. This is where he dies, April 27, 1521. The crew continues going back to Spain. This is really the route Columbus should have taken. Anyway, didn't do that because they end up over here in Asia. All right, so that's Magellan. All right, so probably the most controversial person that we discuss on here is Hernan Cortez. So Cortez set sails from Mexico, lands in the Yucatan Peninsula. He conquers the Aztecs, took over much of Mexico as a conquistador. Montezuma II was in command of the Aztecs at the time. He tried to bribe these explorers coming in, and his men, the conquistadors, came with him. Cortez he tried to bribe Cortez and his fellows because they didn't want them there, and they definitely didn't want them taking over. When Cortez comes in, as with Columbus, as with most of these explorers, they bring such disease with them. And in a lot of cases, this disease had been rampant throughout Europe for centuries. And the folks that survive through generations become more resistant to that disease. Well, these natives and the Aztecs, the Taino people, Colombiana, they don't have that immunity. So they just get wiped out by smallpox. And you're going to do a station on smallpox, which is really cool and gross. But I just want to show you, oh, maybe not. I don't know what I was doing there. I'll show you pictures in the station. It's really nasty what that does, and I don't want to give away any of it right now. You do also need to know a war breaks out between the Spaniards and the Aztecs. Remember, the Aztecs were militaristic anyway. The Spaniards definitely so. Cortez is victorious. He wins for two reasons. Because of his ability to wage war, he brought a lot of men with him, very military minded, and because the natives were very weak because of such diseases that were just wiping out their population. When he is victorious, he names the city that he builds New Spain. Encomienda is when Cortez awards his men for their service by basically giving them a part of the Aztec Empire and the right to tax and enslave native Aztecs. So they're taking slaves, they're taxing people, and they're taking their land. Pretty nasty. Mestizo, the result of Spanish and Native American heritage of this area. Native American meaning like Aztec of this area, the natives. So you have the Spanish intermarrying with the natives, and you have a new race here, Mestizo. All right. Ultimately, Columbus's impact on the New World spreads lots of disease. And the Columbian Exchange. On the positive side, you also, a good spread is that you have a spreading of different foods from Old World to New World, and New World to Old World. So you have a lot of mixture of things. Okay. And I think you've seen this before, but here's the Columbian Exchange map of all the foods and things that are spread around.